Welcome to the Dice Box and Dunwall by Night. When we last left our trio of... Okay, I know witches is the accepted Dunwall term, but look at you three. um, we're at the uh, salon of Lady Hepzibah, the criminal underworld, I guess, genius, really. More trained, assassins and infiltrators, but these are the skeevy types learning to infiltrate the nobility on all levels. Jerica in particular has received a bit of unwelcome news about issues regarding her family, particularly little daughter. Because nobody really knows, except for Jerica, how little, and probably Lady Hepzibah. Lady Hepzibah apparently knows everything. But neither of these two know how... Whoop. Okay, let's... You back.
My internet had some kind of a seizure at the worst moment.
It'll do that. Anyway, yes, these two don't exactly know how old this kid is, but I figure they're kind of assuming young. Just there's such a range. I mean, I had to ask because some details just kind of get missed in the glory that is a Nom's backstory. I love them, but sometimes I have to ask for clarification. Anyway,
that is good.
Yeah, so they've been given an address to check out as a starting point for identifying and getting some intel on this cult that effectively sacrificed Jerica to the waves and would like apparently to do the same to Mina repeatedly. And but of course it's the middle of the day. Not always the best time to be well, depending on who you are. Some of you are probably better at it than others, but I would imagine that a bubble of pure blackness is going to look a little fishy. No pun intended. At in that area, which isn't actually the docks anyway, at midday or so. So in the meantime, Delphine has made inquiries and discovered an individual in the area around Sokolov's Bridge, where apparently somewhere beneath a combination apothecary bookshop is somebody who actually makes bone charms. I don't know if they have a stock on hand or they'll be made specifically to order, but that's something they can ask about while they see to a couple of other things, like, for instance, I think between you have exactly 3 sets of clothing and you're each wearing them. I'm just flagging up that, yes, you are... This is not a video game, guys. You can't get away with wearing the exact same clothes all the time. And yes, technically, Viola has prestidigitation, but that's going to get old real fast. And the longer you wear your clothes, the more ratty they're going to get. So you might want to consider, while you're looking for eldritch goodies, the other necessities of life.
Did Hepzibah give us any partial payment in advance?
Nobody asked.
That's fair.
I mean, technically, you could... I mean, particularly the kind of clothes you guys are after, apart from... Well, coats are fairly sturdy, but... I mean, everything Jerica and Delphine is going to need are cheap-ish, coppers at most. Viola's going to need to be outfitted a little differently than she currently is. So hers is going to be a little bit more expensive. So you have the option of flagging down the footman and asking about partial payment, or doing some calculations on the fly and seeing if Delphine can cover it. That part's up to you, as the breakfast salon starts blending into Eleven's salon, which is which is, as Viola can tell them, is a whole different thing.
If we're going to be traipsing around various dark areas, I need to change into something, and I need to do so a bit more permanently, as opposed to out of character. I keep forgetting. Is it on the right hand or the left? I always forget which.
I'm gonna say it's on your non-dominant hand.
Ah, so that would be left. Thank you. That helps.
Well, it depends on whether Viola's left-handed or right-handed.
Probably be easier for me as a player to keep it straight if I made it right. Seems me. To be honest, I'm a natural blonde.
According to my birth certificate, so am I. Shut up. Seriously, blonde with brown lowlights.
Huh.
That's what my birth certificate says. When I'm actually allowed to be out in the sunlight in the summertime, you see it a lot more.
Ah, okay.
Similar strawberry blonde. It bleaches.
Mm-hmm. Same. Anyway,
Jerica looks over Viola's clothing.
And to be fair, Jerica's clothes are probably starting to get ever so slightly ripe by now.
That's fair.
Oh heavens! I think we all need at least a new set of clothing.
Fine. We'll look for a shop.
Well,
Oh, no.
I don't
And
suppose.
outside of that, a proper
Well,
cleaning, because several of us are far too used to smelling like the docks.
Yes.
You've never lived on a ship, have you?
No,
There are
but
worse
my friends have.
smells. Jerica looks to Delphine's pocket.
Well, no,
Then-
because she didn't bring rats with her anywhere. It's just
To clear that, just to be clear, that's what she's thinking of and making
Yeah.
that quite obvious.
okay. That's fair. But yeah, rats on ships.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. We should have. We could have asked about a bit of coin to start, given our circumstances, or the clothing they have down in the basement was. I think that's more for assignments. So I suppose we could have possibly talked them into. Well, do we want to go back in and inquire, or do we want to try to fend for ourselves? Or
I'm perfectly
rather,
fine with just starting what we're supposed to do. I've got enough to maybe cover what we need, or at least a basic version thereof.
maybe for you two. I need a bit more.
But say what I wear won't be more than several coppers, but if you need something more, you're gonna.
I have to
ask for an
replace
advance.
more than you do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but wow, just because you've lost more doesn't mean you have to replace more. You're all back to base 0.
Well, I figured more of Jerica's outfit is probably not needing to be replaced, as opposed to Jerica or Viola's outfit just doesn't fit where we're going to be going. So.
Yeah, but you're getting more or less the same things. The only thing that you might need that's extra is a heavier coat.
Okay. Well.
So yeah, yeah, that's the thing. You're used to much more expensive shops, and you're probably thinking very different pricing and things when you're thinking of.
Hmm.
So you're getting looks from both of these two.
Ah,
If you think you need more, by all means go and ask, but I don't need anything in advance. I've already got what I need, and most of what I wanted, too. Now the next part
fine.
comes, and that's going to involve a lot of knives. So much fun.
Having the coin, having some coin on hand will be useful either way.
I'll I'll be right back, and I'll find one of the footmen and inquire.
Just wait there a moment. He goes up. Apparently, he's gonna do the negotiating because you've taken up enough of Milady's time at this point. So yeah, you see Viola have brief murmur with the individual who apparently looks at her a bit funny and then goes away. Is she gonna say anything about it, or is anyone going to ask, or are they just gonna look at her? Okay.
Just kind of shrugging and waiting for whatever result happens to happen. This looks like fun to watch.
I'm approaching her with all due deference. Yeah,
Deference.
thank you. And you know, if this is the way it is going to happen, then okay. You know, just
He comes back downstairs and gestures to Viola. You do understand that you literally just signed on. You know what this looks like.
mm,
This looks in terms we're not supposed to use in the main floor, like taking the piss. That said, it's understood that your circumstances are a little unusual. There's also the favoritism problem. So there's the question. You could be offered an advance if you wanted to open yourself to potential gossip, conversations about favoritism, or you having some undue influence on her and possibly weakening her entire power structure. On that basis, do you want to accept it?
mm, no. Because out of character, I do recall she did give me a little bit of extra coin during the meeting. Now that I recall, which I think will
Yeah,
probably that.
she gave
Mhm.
you she gave you some to to cover some of the bits and pieces because you what's that, and you can probably just see the light bulb
Yeah.
going off. And I actually asked this question and she already
Yep. And yeah, so I will apologize profusely for basically wasting the man's time, and take my leave quickly, and thanking
Probably
him for the.
probably blushing a little as she takes
Oh
off.
yes, and thanking him for the consideration, and if appropriate, asking him to express my apologies.
Just to let you know, if you'd accepted it anyway, at least you would have probably met a fairly unseemly end. So we're kind of grateful we didn't have to do that on our nice, clean ballroom floor. Off. And he was perfectly calm the whole time, but she looks more flustered than you ever thought she could look.
Not a word. She's just heading for the door.
Chirka follows to the door.
I'm going to be very amused and follow.
Okay, so uh, Viola, trailed by Jerica and a very amused Delphine, follow, and you're let back out without a problem. They do teach you a very specific knock for the door. Um, Sometimes when it's probably best not to come visiting, it's usually around the towards the tail end of the working days, generally speaking, considered a bad time. Um, and a sort of an emergency entrance, which you unfortunately have to go through the sewers to get to. But Delphine's got that covered.
Hmm. I'm just looking for a way to the nearest roof.
There's plenty of ways to the nearest roof.
Well, I'm headed for the nearest way up.
Okay, acrobatics check.
I don't want to be on the damn streets.
Yep, clamber, 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 clamber.
Oh,
What time is it roughly?
It's coming up on midday.
Jericho shakes her head and nudges Viola, down the sidewalk in that direction of Sokolov's Bridge, looking for clothing shops along the way.
Yeah, clothing shops in this area, once you get past the quasi-residential, quasi-abandoned tenement that you're currently in, it's pretty easy to find. You can, yeah, there's a couple of spots that in ordinary circumstances Viola would not look twice at because it's so very basic. It's very, rough spun linen and that kind of thing. So, but it's the kind of place where you can get the. I mean, to be fair, I think that with certain alterations to them, denim was actually a thing at the time. So you can get something similar at the very least. So, sturdy trousers, plain serviceable linen shirt. Those are like 5 coppers a piece. Um, Anything really nice in a jacket's gonna run you 2-3 silvers, but it's gonna be fairly sturdy and actually match up with your armor rating. What's Delphine doing while they're actually, because they've just gone into a shop that Viola's looking at like, why?
Well, I'm gonna have Fluffy land appropriately nearby, possibly near the door. And while they're in there, I'm gonna keep a lookout.
Okay, perception check.
Everything just went silent for me.
Perception check.
Ten.
You're too busy really pondering the delights of the bone charm shop and giggling over Viola going into a regular person's clothes store and wondering what was said to get Viola to look that flustered, and you're not really paying all that much attention to what's going on the street. You're having some time to yourself, really.
Yep. And I'm gonna tell Fluffy to let me know when they start coming out so I can come down.
Okay, so I'm assuming basically one good jacket for Viola and probably a couple of changes of clothes that you can just keep back at your current digs.
Jerica gets a couple sturdy shirts and another trousers, and then she looks to Viola. You're not going to need a fashion consultant, are you?
And she's going to look for a good pair of boots as well.
Okay, yeah, that's gonna run you. That's gonna run you a good 5 silver, a good pair of boots, and one that actually does it.
That's why I specified a good pair.
Yeah, good.
Specifically thinking of Vimes when I said that.
Yeah, I was
Actually,
about to say Vime, not Vimes boots.
Yeah.
I think most of us were thinking Vimes boots at that point. So yeah, there's nothing actually wrong with Viola's choices. She seems to be going for sturdy, but yeah, you are spending a little over a gold total on, it'll last, but at least in the case of the shirts.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
And as these guys exit the shop with their
Yep.
parcels, you get Fluffy just and through the telepathic link, they're coming out.
And down I go.
I'm just gonna keep. And all of a sudden, there's Delphine.
So you weren't going shopping.
A lookout is never amiss, and I head on in.
You got.
Okay, so what's Delphine gonna do?
Just as much of a similar kit to what I would wear day to day for work
Well, I mean, you
before shit hit the fan.
your coat's still fine, your boots are still fine. It's just you know, trousers, shirts, and various sundries, and you don't have quite the same level of quality as you would have had for work because you were working under the auspices of the crown. So now you're basically getting what Jerica got.
Yeah, whatever the equivalent would have been. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's with everything, you're probably looking at silver total.
Yep, I am doing that as quickly and as unobtrusively as I can, just so no one gets a look at me for more than a few seconds.
Well, remember your hair has been re-dyed, and probably restyled actually. So you keep
I just still
forgetting.
don't want people looking at the face.
Yeah, but again, it's given the length of that hair, it's probably been styled to largely hide it.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're sometimes going trying to blow bits out of the way, you suddenly realize, wait a minute, they can't see me very well like this.
Yeah, that grin comes back.
Yeah, and yeah, with the besides the shopkeeper is just buy shit and or get out.
Yep, so I get that sorted back out.
Yes, there you are with your parcels. And the raven who's perched on the somewhat rickety sign.
So
Jerica heads back down the street again towards the bridge.
I'm gonna catch up to Jerica. So how are we getting into that district?
After dark, sure you'll be quite happy to be on the roofs again.
Well, that's definitely fun, yes. I just don't know how you two are going to get in, because I remember the last district adventure we had.
Oh, come on. You also remember it was partially because Jerica got a shoe pitched at her head, and she at least managed to climb up without help when there was no ballistic footwear.
We'll get up carefully.
Oh, it's going to be such a treat. And I've just got Fluffy pinballing across the way behind us.
Yeah, just from roof to roof. And what's Delphine doing during all this?
Just kind of following along wherever Jerica's headed.
And Viola? Wait a minute, why? Here's my question. Why the hell is Jerica leading when it's Delphine who has the address?
So, because Jerica apparently decided she was going somewhere, and I'm like, okay, this is funny.
She's heading to the district, but because she knows where the district is, but you have the exact shop.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is like she says at dark, and it's like we're at mid freaking day.
I thought she was talking about the warehouse or where the cult is.
Yeah, that's what
Get into the
Jerica.
district by walking, which seems apparent.
Sokolov's bridge is full of academics, high-end society, and the fun kind who have security.
I think we can walk down the street. I know Dunwall's Dunwall, but it's not like we're waltzing past the tower.
It's also doubly paranoid these days. But if you want to take the street, I'm fine with that too.
Just don't make a scene, and we won't have anything to worry about.
Yes, like as for example, having this conversation on the street in public.
Yep. Which is why Viola has paused while these two continue going forward, having this conversation, step to the side, and disguise self to make herself look more, well, academic, as it were. Stepped out and is continuing forward as though she knows neither of these two. to see if they even notice.
At this point, not so much.
Hmm.
They're too busy having this conversation with no thought for anybody who might be listening. And yeah, they are getting into slightly nicer districts at this point.
Yep. And that's right about do I notice that we're getting into nicer districts?
That does not take that much in the way of perception. No.
Yeah. So at that point, like conversation or no, I just sort of clam up, elbow Jerica, and start leaving distance between the two of us, heading forward ahead.
Well, she's the one with the address, so.
Jerica follows.
I will pause, I will turn and just sort of to see if they've even noticed me there at this point. I'm like, they didn't notice me apparently changing. I wonder if they even have any clue. And I just, because I didn't change my face too much. It was more just a wardrobe thing, you know? So I just like, are they even gonna?
Jerica's
They're very
walking intently.
They are very goal oriented people.
I just decided that if Viola's coming, she's probably done something and blended.
So it's a combination of goal orientation and trust, really.
Which does actually get a, I guess, out of character. Would Viola know that Delphine was the one with the address? I don't remember where that got given.
She knows that Delphine was the one talking about it, which means it stands to reason that she would be the one who now knows the exact location, because she was saying, "I know a place where they make these," and she wouldn't be doing that if she didn't know exactly a place that would make that make those.
At which point, as they presumably walk past her, just standing there.
Well, you were still behind them, so you would have had to catch up.
Well,
That's the
that
thing.
was
The whole reason they haven't noticed is because you were behind them.
okay. At which point I'll speed up a little bit and get up past Delphine to Jerica. I
No,
believe.
because Delphine's in the lead.
They
Yeah,
switched.
yeah. Well, no,
All right.
because what had happened was they were side by side, and when they realized they were in a nicer part of town, Delphine sped up
Oh, my
to
bad.
leave
Sorry, Smeagol. That
Jerica
wasn't
to
clear.
follow behind. So you're kind of in a line where you don't necessarily look like you're together.
Okay. Sorry, Smeagol. That wasn't clear. I got it now. I apologize. Okay, and then in which case we'll just continue forward as is, as we
Using the
are.
parcel to act like I'm delivering a thing.
I mean, that's basically a good rule for any of you, really. I mean, even academics gotta go shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And, make your face a little younger, and you could be like a TA or an intern or something.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be done. Shave off about 10 years. Maybe not that many. Maybe five. Maybe five.
To be fair, I kind of figured on her on being in her 30s.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That works. Yeah. Given the picture, given the
So
time. Yeah.
it would have to
About 10
be
years. Yeah.
would have to be it'd have to be a good 10 years if she's, you know, sort
Mm-hmm.
of just grad student.
Good point. Thank you. Okay. So yeah.
So yeah, on you toddle through the increasingly nicer and for Viola kind of more homey, although a little more academic than she's used to. But these are people who appreciate the arts as well as, the natural philosophy side of things. So this is a little more her world. And currently she is hiding in it as the as the gopher, really. Go for whatever the fuck is in this parcel. I don't know. Somebody just told me to pick it up. I don't know why it contains women's clothing with some of the professors. You don't ask. And, Delphine probably likes the place as well, but for very different reasons. These are people that actually understand that things like excessive whaling have consequences. And they actually do more with, life as beyond humanity than just squish it to see how it works. And
So they're planning to do
Jerica,
the equivalent.
Jerica has never been in a place like this in her life. I mean, no offense to Jerica, but I have a feeling that Mina probably reads a little better than she does. A little bit.
It's possible.
Well, I just figure, Jerica would want her daughter to have more opportunities in whaling
Yep.
vessel. So
Very much does not want her to do that.
in any case, Delphine is the first one to spot the apothecary shop / bookstore. It's a narrow little place. I mean, some of those shops that we saw in the Camden Market that are basically just this little tiny
Like the
wood
alcove.
Yeah, it's just a little tiny door wedged between other tiny doors.
Yeah, basically just a dent in the various pathways of the bridge section we're standing on.
Yeah, and I mean there's a little bit of window dressing, which is just the usual apothecary herbs and what have you. But there's not a whole lot because there's not a whole lot of space. It's just sort of recessed into the place. Little. You wonder how it gets business. It doesn't seem to want to be noticed.
There's
Do
a
I
few
see any-
there's a few restaurants like that in New York City, so yeah, that makes sense.
There are whole shopping areas of that in London.
Well, all right
Yeah,
then.
you pointed out a literal hole-in-the-wall bar.
Yeah, and but like I say, there's a lot of places like that in London. You must come visit properly.
When I'm allowed.
Yeah, well, when we're all allowed that kind of thing, I swear y'all need to come and have a proper face-to-face game at my dining table.
I would love nothing more.
In any case, yeah, so there's Delphine looking at that, and as each of you approach it, you do feel that little ding, ding, from when you first, which you kind of remember from when you found your first ones.
Do I see any like side entrances or anything resembling the underneath?
Nope, there's just that door.
And in the door I go.
Jerica strides in, wrinkles her nose a bit.
The the first thing you see in this place is, I mean, it's a small space and it's made even smaller by bookshelves, just crammed in so that you can just about fit one person walking, straight forward, so they can turn around and look at each shelf. But there's literally not much more space than that. So you could fit as many bookshelves in this space as possible. The books are kind of dusty and in some cases precariously filed. And it's kind of squished for the first kind of 50 yards or so. It opens out a little bit when you get more into the apothecary and herbal areas where it starts getting weird. And there's herbs you've never heard of. It doesn't smell unpleasant, it's just a bit dusty and herbal smelling. But there are some interesting colored vials behind the counter, along with some things that you think might have once been in something living. You're sure that jar is looking at you from a variety of eyes. And then you realize, yeah, no, dear God, that's probably actually Eye of Newt. And from underneath the counter is small, round, partially bald individual with way too much in the way of ears and a very perplexed look when the three ladies walk in. Can I help you?
Um, I don't really know what to say beyond your collection is lovely.
Thank you, but we...
We're looking for whalebone charms. The real witchcraft, not something made out of leftover pig.
And out comes the knife.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, we're getting a little direct here.
It's not helping, Delphine.
Declaring that in front of any random individual seems like a poor choice.
He knows what he has in the back room as is.
Do you know? I don't think we have time for this. Knife goes.
No,
knife
we
goes
don't.
Away. Knife comes back out. Stop. Now.
He's just whimpering, for fuck's sake. There's not much else he can do. There's this woman with a knife.
Yeah, because I'm turning to I'm turning to this is my reaction to Jerica.
Yeah, but
so the knife is actually in her direction.
Don't point that thing at me.
And he's hiding behind the counter at this point. I'm sorry, you guys are gonna have to sort this out amongst yourselves before this poor man comes out. I'm not touching this.
just don't.
Stepping.
And
Well, there's how much space is there? Is there enough space for me to step between the two of them without getting
Just,
stabbed?
you'd have to be very careful about the getting stabbed. But there's a lot of glassware, but you can probably nudge Delphine's arm.
Delphine, stop. Jerica, stop. Both of you, breathe. Although, giving deference to the dust, maybe not quite that deep.
knife
Relax.
is going away.
And it's staying away. You frightened the poor man.
I
which
think
you
the
wish to talk
frightening
to.
was this one's fault more than mine, but
You pulled out a
Yeah, go ahead.
very large knife.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, man.
Turns to the poor man. My apologies, good
Oh
sir.
no, he's still under the.
Oh,
he's
well,
still
no,
under the
she's still no, she's still going to address him even behind the counter. I know you can't see me, but I am bowing an apology, just so you know. The knife is put away.
People going to be openly talking about blasphemy in my shop?
No.
You see, little hands. Peek.
Are we done? Looking back at the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly want. Can you imagine overseers in here?
that's what I was trying to avoid.
Jerica looks pointedly over her shoulder, and then to Delphine.
And you opened your face.
There's no overseer here. Is there?
As they started again, you just see this man to sort of start
Sick.
shrinking a little.
Viola looks at it like, but before he does, Viola just kind of goes, just go ahead. Just sort of, yeah, go ahead. And then turns to the two of them going, like she
Yeah,
is
and Delphine
squirting him out.
Yeah, I'm just face palming at all of this because it's like I was trying to wind my way to that.
You were trying to be
progressively,
subtle. Jerica is
Not
about as subtle as a bull moose in this little tiny shop.
as subtle as Titan is. Pretty much.
She got more brain.
yeah.
She got more brain than that. It's just she's very much got a mission, and I can kind of understand that. But
Fair enough.
she has I think the old Morley charm seems to involve a little less in the way of actual charm and more in the way of kicking your head in.
Okay. Well, we've already made it blatantly obvious why we're here. We don't need to mention it again quite so directly.
Hands. Yep. Stands up again. I custom make certain items from time to time. They tend towards the pricey for obvious reasons. I don't have ready to wear, if that's the best term, because a lot of the time it depends on who you are and what you want it to do. So if this was a market of miracles, what sort of thing would you be looking to ask for?
Out of character, given the circumstances, I honestly have no real idea what the options even are. So I'll just. I mean, I'm reading. I read, the bone charm. But the bone charm table?
If you say, I mean, if you have something from the bone charm table that you like the look of, then obviously find a way to voice it. If you don't, just say something that might that I might be able to tweak. That's the reason I said that they're made to order,
Right.
so that if I needed to come up with something, because I realize I'm not following the Pact of the Outsider specifically, so a lot of those might not fit as well with your skill sets as they could.
Right. Well, no, the main reason I ask is I never saw a table.
There should be one in the thing.
Hmm.
Outsider Warlock Patron.pdf. Uh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, Bone Charms is the last 2 pages.
Oh, my bad. Okay, I didn't realize. Whoop. Oh, bloody hell! I didn't realize. But Delphine, go.
Where is that PDF?
Um, that's the one you sent to me!
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I just wasn't sure what link you were looking at.
You knew we were going to be shopping for this. We had 2 weeks.
Okay, I've got the link now.
I spent hours putting maps together for you people, and you can't even find a PDF.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think I ever got sent it.
You know what? We're gonna have a break now, and it's gonna be a little longer than the average so that y'all can do some homework. So I'll see you in a few minutes. And we're back after a somewhat early break to let people get on the same page about what they are looking for from this poor, terrified, beleaguered man who is faced with a very direct, very inwardly agitated and seething Morley woman. And the weirdo with the knife! Where is Fluffy while all this is going on?
Just on the outside, somewhere on a lamppost or a sign, keeping watch.
Okay. So, yeah, you've still got this man is explaining I do make them custom. Thus I do need to know what kind of thing you're looking for.
It's a it's a bit of a dangerous time that we live in, and given my own past experiences with it, it's a simple matter of I would prefer to be a bit harder to hit from a distance. Out of character, I'm looking specifically at Unsteady Hand,
I
which would give
had a
me.
feeling.
Well, when I scrolled through and saw, oh, given she's been shot before, she'd like to avoid that. So that seemed to be, from a narrative perspective, the best choice. Maybe not the best choice in terms of tactics, but I'm going for a bit more flavor than tactics at this point. That just fit too perfect not to ask.
That's a thing that can happen. Yes. But keep in mind, Ethan, I'm gonna make sure that you're keeping track of that because when we're
Of
getting
course.
into variable AC, because this is why this is so dodgy. Because
Right.
it's variable. If somebody hits you with a sword, your AC is different than if somebody's shooting at you.
Oh, no, that's understood, yes.
And there's only so much I should be asked to keep track of.
Fair. No, eminently fair. No, I'm only asking for it because A, it
I
fits
know why
narratively, and
you're
B,
I know why you're asking for it. I'm not asking for an explanation of why you asked for it. I am setting the ground rules. If you forget to mention,
that's my fault.
yes, every time.
Yes. No, understood.
Okay. Glances in Jerica's direction.
I heard a story once back in Morley. A smuggler had a lucky charm, and when he was out on the sea, pirates and the Navy, when they would take a shot at him, sometimes their pistols would misfire or slip from their fingers. More times than you could count it for simple luck. She references unnerving target that forces them to wisdom save if they shoot at her.
Okay. I've heard similar tales. I've gone farther than just Morley. Still eyeing you a little dubiously, but you're being relatively subtle now, so that's kind of okay. Then glances over at the weirdo with the knife.
There wouldn't be any that would allow one to recover from injury if one deals injury.
You looking for anything specific from the list?
The one I'm closest referring to is leeching cuts.
Well, leech cuts, but that's doable. Dodgier than I like to deal with most of the time, and now it really is just looking at her like, what the fuck? But doable, because it's one of the black ones, come on. But
Yeah.
it's doable. This is gonna be probably a longer order than you necessarily want. It's gonna be a day or two. It would have been just a day, and it still might only be a day, but this interesting one that I've just been asked to do is a little trickier than some of the others. A little more involved. Is still eyeing her like, really, what the fuck?
If you need any supplies or any resources as repayment, I will happily provide them.
Well, I can give you. I mean, I've got what I need. I think it's more than that, though. It's impossible to explain. As I say, it's doable. It's just not pleasant.
Am I getting any sort of inkling as to what what's his meaning of that, like insight check level meaning?
Give me an insight check.
Jerica wrinkles her nose because she has her own ideas.
Seven.
You have no the hell idea. You just know that whatever this individual is going to have to do, it could just be squeamishness, it could be dabbling in things, but he didn't look anywhere near as worried about these two. And it probably becomes underlined when he turns around and says, "You two, yours are gold apiece, paid on receipt. Yours is 2."
And she was,
Tangible.
Viola was the sort of, eyebrow raised, huh, at Delphine over all this, over the guy's reaction. Hearing the price, it's both eyebrows were like, what? It sort of is like the look on her face, like, what the hell did you order?
Well, you heard what the hell she ordered. Give me an Arcana check. Jericho too, if she wants to make one.
Only 6.
Yeah, no.
No.
All you've really got is deal damage to fix damage. Something about that is hinky as fuck.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
just don't
Jericho's
know
not gonna
what.
think- Jericho's not going to think too hard on it.
Well, no, because
Yeah.
Jericho is Jericho, but
It's like making a mental. We're gonna have a talk later.
if health and injuries are something of a concern to you, I do have somewhat less esoteric healing items. Poultices and drams and that sort of thing. They run a little pricey, but looks you all over. Perhaps if you want to come back and see what's available when you pick up your items. And obviously what's available means what's left in your purses as well as what's in his shop.
Viola just nods politely, trying not to extend this out much farther. Really wanting to get Delphine out of here.
Yeah, and he's made his notes and is like, will there be anything else? It intones that it does not take an insight check to hear me. Please leave my shop. Please get out of my shop.
No, we'll be out of your way.
Have a good day. Yeah, he
Thank
apparently
you.
has to say it.
Thank you, sir. And I'm going to, very carefully make my way out.
Viola just bows and follows the two of them.
Yeah, Jericho nods politely, heads out.
Okay, you have left the shop and the poor, terrorized gnome of a man. He really is. He's just a short little guy, puffy hair and ears.
Aside from the height, it's my granddad.
Wow.
Anyway,
Anyway,
so yes, back out into the street.
under her breath to the two of them, well, that could have gone better. Delphine, could we not jump to the knife quite so quick? You're scaring the normals.
Jericho looks elsewhere.
Well, at this
Just
point,
going to
sorry, yeah.
nod and continue walking.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, it's gone. I mean, you've had a bit of a walk. It's well past midday now, but it probably means that the No Name Inn is now unlocked and starting to do business. You can probably grab a meal, change your clothes.
So shall we head back to the inn and
Lay a game plan.
figure out how we're going to approach this task?
Sure.
Hopefully with less knives involved at this stage.
Fewer, damn it. You're an educated lady. Fewer knives. Knives are discrete objects, and it drives me fucking crazy. Do the Americans just not have the word fewer? Do they think it's too pretentious? What? It's not just you. Every time I read this, it's always less. It's like, no, fewer. They have different meanings.
Yeah,
well, you're
Americans
absolutely
are
right.
like that, basically.
The word fewer is not pretentious, okay?
No,
It's the exact word that is needed.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
you are absolutely right. Thank you.
It's not,
Fewer knives.
believe me, it's not just
Oh,
you.
I know it's not just me, but it's a mistake I try not to make. So getting called on it, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I made the mistake of being on, like, actually, no, to be fair, it wasn't even Reddit. It was somebody's otherwise very good Facebook post about, the whole Black Lives Matter thing and everything else. And it's like, I'm just seeing less and less and less. And I'm like, no, no, those are discrete objects, individual objects. I had to tell my mother this one last week.
Oh, Lord. So, anyway, hopefully fewer knives at this stage. Looking at Delphine, but then glancing at Jerica at this stage.
I'm not looking to stab anyone tonight either.
Yet.
Well,
Hmm.
not everybody. She did say that, if we had to.
I'm just gonna make my way a little bit ahead and start whistling the Drunken Whaler song.
Well, I mean, all of that was,
Yeah.
it was said, a lot,
Sotto voce.
Hmm.
yes, that's how you say that. Thank you. I've seen it, but I didn't know how to say
Well,
it. Thank you.
it's Italian, so sotto voce. I think you muted yourself again. Unless you were just
Yeah.
mouthing, thank you. It's okay.
Yeah,
I
I was
don't know half the time.
Sorry.
Stop mouthing things when you constantly mute. You're doing it
Hmm.
again.
Okay, well, that was very quiet. Sorry. I'm going to stop now. Love you.
Anyway, let's leave it at you. Get back to the No Name Inn, which is open up for the day, and there's some individuals of various walks of life, all of them the lower rungs, really, having a late lunch of, what does actually smell like a. There's a lot of fish involved. You're fairly near the docks area, so it's no real surprise. So what you're getting is a fairly nice fish stew with rough but serviceable bread to sop it up in.
After we left the previous district, I will have dropped the
Yeah.
academic, getting more toward the no name, and realizing I'm still pretty much wearing what I was when they first met me. I'll change that into something more appropriate to be walking in, given the clientele.
Yep.
Trying not to attract too much attention.
And what you're getting is you're sort of approaching to go put your things away. You're gonna want food down here or up there?
Up here. If you'd be so kind.
Up here, because down here, up there. Make
Up there.
Thank you. I just wanted to I just wanted to figure out which of the bits I was actually supposed to be listening to. It's one of those days. God damn it. Anyway, yes. I'll see to that then. Then goes back to serving because again, this is a like it or lump it establishment. And as you're settling back in, you get that bang, 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 and clearly somebody walking away because he's not bringing it into your room. You have had a couple of cots moved in, so it's a couple of cots, and the chaise longue has been moved, but you've got Holly poking out from under the cushions, and if Delphine activates the beast speech, it's "You didn't see me. They didn't see me. They didn't see me. They didn't see me. They didn't see me." It's a very
Hands
young
out.
rat.
Oh. Like hands out to pick up.
Scramble shell. Boop.
Viola stepped out to grab the food and bring it in.
Yeah. What
Turning-
you've got
turning
is
her-
you've got 3 bowls of stew, a small basket of bread, sort of somewhat dented small pitcher that contains ale, and 3 mismatched glasses.
Setting it.
There's a table.
Oh, there is. Okay. Oh, set it on the table and turning around, probably. Smig, is your back to me, or were you facing the room with Holly in your hands?
Probably facing the room because
Yeah.
the chaise longue has been sort of crammed into the wall almost behind the door.
Ah, okay. In which case, Viola would have made note that, is Holly okay?
Wasn't spotted once, were you?
Oop, they didn't see me. They didn't see me.
Not even one.
Hmm.
I'm assuming those are happy noises?
And I quote, they didn't see me.
Good.
I found a place where you can be all at home with a lot more space, and a lot less people clumping about.
Fewer. Damn it!
Thank you. Yeah, but fewer people clumping about, that would be the correct terminology, because every single time I do that, it's gonna keep happening until someone pokes me.
Yep. But I said it like
Poke.
I just said
Oh,
it
yeah,
like
exactly, but the reflex is
I know.
automatic.
I know. Anyway. Sorry, it's just I'm still trying to wind down from that, and then yet it just cranks me right back up again. Anyway, yes. I mean, the rat doesn't care. The god does.
The deity. Not fewer in the way of people clumping about.
But no other niece.
There'll be others. I just need to find them.
Until there are others, I don't wanna be on my own in big.
You won't be on your own. We'll find the others first. Because I still have to make the space.
Okay. It's comfy here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And just
I'm gonna
scrambles onto the shoulder.
settle into sharing food with my little friend. And and before food starts, letting Fluffy in through the window.
Perches on something convenient. That's a good thing. Fluffy doesn't need to eat.
Seeing Holly and Delphine eating, pointing at Fluffy. We don't have anything for Fluffy. Well, I mean, this was the bread, but
I don't need food. Is telepathically.
Fluffy's fine. Food, less of a requirement.
okay. Remembering what I saw when I did the detect magic, I was like, right, okay.
And I seriously doubt Jerica cares. It's like, okay, fine.
Poor Jerica having to deal with like concentrated witchcraft.
I think you. No, I saw. Okay, I've seen
He's
movement
still
now.
there.
I've seen movement. This is good. I'm getting paranoid about that kind of thing. Thank you, Discord, for increasing my already insane levels of anxiety. Anyway, so yes, you're having lunch and making game plans. I don't know.
Does Jericho know anything about the neighborhood for the given address?
Not much. I mean, it's another one of those spots that's more. It's more in the twilight zone between actual working warehouses and places that have been, places that have been modified to let people live in them. So it's difficult to tell which of them are functional warehouses, which are homes, and which are somewhere in between. I mean, at least Lady Hepzibah's court was very clearly disused. Their whole shtick was paying guards to make it stay that way. These guys might have very different. So basically, you know the area, it's reasonably well trafficked, but it's difficult to know what kind of traffic you'll find at night.
So, what specifically was the address that we were going to again? Saying to Jericho.
Jericho tells her the address.
Really not your district.
Yeah, that is not my area. Oh boy. Delphine, do you know that area at all?
That one give me a survival check.
8. I'm rolling 2s.
Not really. You know about as much as Jericho does.
Same level as Jericho knows.
Jericho hasn't said what she knows yet, so.
And that
I'm
was
guessing
Jericho?
at any rate.
We probably wouldn't stand out walking down those streets. The problem would be not just cultists, but the usual scum of Dunwall.
That is a wide range of flavor. I mean,
Fair
it is. It legit is. I mean,
And
I'm assuming you don't mean noble scum.
No. I was about to say thieving scum, but that wouldn't.
Yeah, that doesn't narrow it
would it?
down.
That doesn't even that very certainly does not leave out noble scum.
Exactly.
The
That
ones
really
that'll
does-
smash your head into the wall and run off with your coin purse.
That
Okay.
really doesn't.
I think it's a question of
Overseers will do that.
yeah. Well, it's a question of wardrobe.
Regardless,
I think I follow. I follow.
we can
What type of buildings are we dealing with?
warehouses. Some of them still in use, some of them not. Some of them have been torn down, made into apartment blocks.
Might be worth
Shopkeepers,
asking
those sorts of
Ops and
folks.
such. Gotcha. Okay.
To be fair, some of them were even torn down to make apartment blocks. Some of them just had like extra floor and
Mm-hmm.
cheap ass walls put in and turned
There's a lot of
into apartment blocks.
There's a lot of places in New York are like that too. The loft buildings and
Lots
and
of them in London.
Yeah.
And
But
company
those
housing,
are
too.
usually the weird thing is that in Dunwall these are cheap ass places because they've been really skimped on. In London, they're well, they're rich hipster digs really.
exactly in New York too. But I'm just saying, in terms of structure, I get.
Yeah,
I
they
get
still have the warehouse look, but they do not resemble warehouses inside, except for those little bits they've left for flavor. In this case, it's
Yeah.
more just the stuff that was too expensive to tear out and thus may end up landing on someone's head someday. But hey, you've got a roof.
Best thing we can do is get up on the roofs, get an idea, get a view of that warehouse, see how closely they're guarding it, if they're open enough to leave people out on the street. And if we're lucky, we can find a way inside from the roof.
All right. I mean, we get a look at. I mean, I get a look at some of the cultists. That wouldn't necessarily be an issue.
Depending on if they dress like cultists outside.
Right. I mean, depending on how obvious they might be. But yeah, hopefully, if not, then yes, we will look for a way in from above or below if need be.
Speaking of getting around that whole area entire, maybe I wonder. Someone I know from the rat pits. You may know his way in or around certain places depending on where he's been lately.
Oh,
Places that can get us into the warehouse?
He might know the area better than the both of us combined.
I mean, that's at least something. Well, it is getting rather late, and we were going to do this
Well, it's not.
tonight, I
Yeah,
assumed.
it's
You
not.
said very late, but I don't know if we have a time for a very long trip, is what I'm saying.
Who said anything about a trip? You have a Fluffy who can have message tied to leg or just be carried. Hell, if you wanted to recon the place, you wouldn't even have to move from that table.
Hmm.
Um, Delphine, question: if we're your link, for lack of a better way to put it, with Fluffy, how far does that extend? The reason
In
I'm
terms
asking
of
is I'm just thinking we want to get eyeballs on the place before we attempt to go in. Uh, and then she points at Fluffy.
And Fluffy is just going, let her answer the question.
Sorry.
I can have Fluffy directly showing me things within a moderate range. Beyond, well, honestly, no. The seeing through Fluffy is as far as Fluffy can move. As to commands or anything of a sensory link outside of just sight, that that's within base. I have finer connection the closer we are, but the actual range is as far as Fluffy wants it to be. So if you wanted to have a look, I could most definitely have a look. It would just depend on where Fluffy wanted to see things from.
You're muted.
You could give Fluffy direction first and give a set course with some I lost the word,
Finesse?
with some finesse in terms of unexpected event.
That's generally the idea, yes.
So
Self-preservation is a thing.
thank you, Fluffy.
Hmm.
So
And yeah,
uh,
Delphine could also think somewhere along those lines you could probably get Fluffy to deliver a message to Gilbert. See if he can meet you here, because what's suspicious about somebody going to a bar?
Yeah, that in fact, if I and do I have anything resembling the ability to paper or note stuff on hand?
Yeah, there's probably stuff kicking around
I'm gonna grab
in
that and just
general.
start jotting down a shorthand note for Gilbert.
And what are you saying? And he probably knows this place. You did.
Yeah, he's probably heard that I'm dead, so managed to survive slash escape at pub meet now? Question mark.
Okay.
Wind that up. Provide it to Fluffy.
Bunt.
Well, best of luck. I'm gonna tell you where to go as best I can until we exceed the range.
And for the sake of argument, we'll say that you do manage to direct Fluffy as far as Gilbert doesn't live that far. I mean, you managed a reasonable link with Fluffy to your place, and he didn't live far from you.
Hmm.
So, you may just leave range, but by then you're like that window there.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, from there, Fluffy can just reconnoiter and you can check in with Fluffy as and when. If you just say, circle watch
Mm-hmm.
and come home after X amount of time.
Yep. And as I'm doing this, I'll have set Fluffy out, gotten up, and just kind of like focused through the mark.
Yeah.
So eyes glazed over, whole thing. I'm just standing at the window.
Yeah.
One hand on the other.
Well, I don't imagine you'll be with Fluffy the entire time, just because, if nothing else, you have to meet Gilbert. But you can check back in.
Yeah, just long enough for the Gilbert meet, and then sending over to Circle.
Yeah. You have Gilbert looking like, what the with this raven landing on his windowsill. And then it's offering, in frame comes a little bit of paper. What the fuck? Crumples, tosses it in the fire, grabs a satchel, and leaves.
Yeah. Send Fluffy to go recon the other place.
Yep. And
reboot
yep. And
back into.
And then this one's sort of chuckling a little bit as comes a bit back to herself.
That was fun.
Yeah. Gilbert, incidentally, looks like the biggest dork, just unkempt, probably needs a cut, brown hair in massive cowlicks, freckles across the bridge of the nose. He's in his 20s, but he looks about 15.
Man is a giant dweeb.
Yeah, he's this skinny, mostly Adam's apple kind of absolute dork.
Kind of like Disney Ichabod Crane level of.
But not as
Gangly?
tall is the thing.
Okay. Okay, I see it now. Thank you.
He's a weedy little dweeb. Adorable, but a weedy little dweeb.
Fiola's just looking at him like, "Oh, you poor sweet summer
Well,
child."
you haven't seen him yet. I'm mostly
okay.
explaining for Delphine and for
my
you
bad.
guys when he comes in.
I thought, okay, my bad.
So I'm going to have Holly stay in the room, ready, just continue enjoying the bread.
She's actually made herself a little nest in one of the bread rolls, and
Just like a
occasionally
ton
just. Well, yeah, they're not huge bread rolls, so it really is just occasionally no, curl. And you can set that someplace a little out of the way.
Yep, and I'm gonna go wait for my delightful, weedy little shit of a friend.
And when it's not that long, just because he was clearly in quite a hurry, he just sort of barges in and looks and just. I can't hear the explanation for this in the bar room, can I?
And I'm going to just get up and gesture, come on.
What the fuck happened to your hair?
Creative hair dye.
Yeah, and you've got Brian behind the bar just going, oh dear. And as you pass by, just a pitcher and another glass, which doesn't match the other three at all, but is glassware is very catch as catch can.
So just thank you. Just gonna thank him for that and up and away.
Yep, and then this one comes in with a little weedy guy.
Everyone, Gilbert.
Why is she looking at me like that? Why is she looking at me like that? Why did a raven come with a... No, okay, no, let's start with why are you looking at me like that?
No offense intended. You're just wow.
Jericho doesn't look impressed.
Viola just is just like, oh my god, he's adorable.
I am not comfortable. What?
You look far too sweet for this world. And that is not meant in a bad way.
Sit,
I don't know
drink.
what to do with that. Can you start with how you're not dead? I saw them
Still
chuck
haven't-
your body in the...
Still trying to wrap my head around that part myself.
And just boom on the chair. She hasn't even paid attention to the picture in the glass. Just... Please begin at the beginning. As much as possible. Okay, actually, let's start with who are these people. You said everyone. I don't think that's either of their names. They know mine! Apparently.
Introductions are in order then. Gesturing to the both of them.
Jericho.
Viola. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Why are you in with a muck-a-muck? What's going on?
A hilarious case of luck.
Hmm.
And a little esoterica, really.
Why am I not surprised it's you?
Okay. After they beat me and then threw me off of the end of the drink, next thing I knew, I was getting pulled up from a dock or wherever it is I smacked into, and somehow still alive, and not missing any of my teeth anymore.
No, you were... People don't... No, you were dead. People don't survive the injuries you had. You were dead.
And then I looked down and found, pulling off the glove, this.
What the fuck? What? Why? What?
And as a result...
Wait, wrong hand.
Looks at
An
Jericho. Oh dear. I am going to be turned into overseer jerky for this.
No, you're not. So long as you keep safe distance and all that.
Well, that's just common sense, but... What is that? Exactly. I've heard some rumors, but I'm not sure I can entirely believe them.
Well, it's a source for a few weird tricks.
Like the raven.
The easiest... yeah, that's Fluffy.
No, because unless you named a raven the same thing as you named your prized breeding rat, your boon companion,
Mm-hmm.
that one died too. Trying to bite the nose off something, one of them that was beaten on you.
Weirdly, that is Fluffy now. Was a rat when I woke up and got fished out. Can turn into a raven. Among anything else I want. Plus things like, well, this. And I'm going to cast darkness just in the room.
There is screaming.
To immediately turn it off and hand over his mouth.
There is probably some actually very creative swearing going on behind that hand.
Are we ready to continue talking, or is there going to be more shouting?
You're just getting this look like,
Let him know.
You're the one that turned out the lights. Well,
"What's
sort of
just
more than that.
turning out the lights? You do this and you expect me to be calm? You do this with no warning and you expect me to be calm!"
That is fair. Yeah. Sorry.
And they call me a... Anyway. Alright, so you died and got resurrected as the weirdest rat witch.
A little bit.
That's.
I don't know how to ask if you're both like her without sounding, pardon me, but offensive to anybody.
It's fine. We have our own abilities. Yes, no, different, but yes.
I don't know what to do with this.
I'm refraining from any kind of demonstration. I figure you don't need any more.
Nope, thank you. I still don't know what to do with this. I'm sitting in a room full of witches. One of them's one of my friends. The other two, Morley Whaler and you're
I believe.
quite
that.
not quite nobility, but you want to be so bad.
We found
I-
good company on the bridge.
I did at one point. Now there's a particular bunch I'd like to see taken down a few pegs at the very least.
Delphine, why don't you tell your friend what they're doing here?
Or
I
you
was
could
getting
just
to that.
you could just tell me because you seem to be the more direct one of the bunch.
I wanted you to be sure you knew what you were getting into before.
Either way, finding out that kind of thing, I'm screwed. You could have just tried to dance around the whole "congratulations, now you're dealing with witches" bit. You didn't even have to say any of that. You're still my friend. I don't know how you survived or didn't and then did. And anyway,
We're trying to get into a warehouse a couple of districts over.
throw a rock.
Ideally, get into it without any guards.
Ah, you mean a
Or worse
specific one.
type.
Yes,
Yeah,
specifics
the
could help.
address.
A warehouse. Throw a rock, you'll find one.
There's like 5 down the block from here.
There's a certain sort of people that are likely inside, and we don't want to be spotted by them. So that rules out the front door.
Oh, those crazies.
Yes.
So, they've been turning up in the circles, haven't they?
A little bit. I mean, the you hear bits and pieces when you're just doing the general cleanup.
Kinds of bits and pieces.
Well, I mean, something big happened a little while ago. Something that turned them from You know that there's levels of crazy that's to ooh. Well,
To exsanguinate a person for shits and giggles.
among other things, I couldn't make heads nor tails of half of what I'm hearing about, but they're talking. I don't even know what they're talking, but it sounds more than they. It says something about my time in Dunwall that I can talk about the average sacrifice. Ah, why is she growling?
Never you mind.
Excuse me, miss. I'm in here. I am so thoroughly fucked right now. So if I'm going to know exactly, if I'm going to know that I'm this fucked, I'd like to know exactly how thoroughly I'm fucked and what I'm being fucked for.
Okay. They're a cult, and they've kidnapped my daughter, and they're going to sacrifice her.
All right, that's all you needed to say.
So we need into that warehouse so we can figure out where they've taken her.
Okay, that explains some things. The warehouse isn't a final destination, it's a first stop, I think. We're talking about a particularly precious bit of cargo that they were going to store in a warehouse, but just recently they said change of plans. That's going to be primary drop-off point. And then they're going to move the cargo. I don't have an actual address, but I got the impression it was going to be somewhere fairly fancy.
Good. Now?
I had assumed it was actual cargo, because warehouse, but no, apparently not. Wonderful. Alright, people have gotten decidedly weird, because, as I say, some of this conversation has been... Alright, now, I only hear little bits of rumour, and my esoteric is not great, but I've heard some things attached to those marks. I'm hearing something about the outsider?
That's the most direct way.
No, I just mean that there is actually an entity. And I'm guessing he looks human?
Yeah, that's the between everyone and even the overseers things. Yeah.
If you permit me a moment, I can show you.
I've been thrust into pitch blackness and I had a raven deliver me post. What's going to freak me out now? But thank you.
And I'll do the image. And
yeah, it's not thank
it's not
you.
the best, but it's
no, it's
kinda
it's not it's you see, it's not the specific individual. There seems I've heard arguing. Factions within factions. Some are in it for more immediate gain. Something about it worked before. If we can arrange it right, it can keep working again and again and again. Which Jerica in particular will flash to the whole, they did it to you, and if they just keep dunking her. And others are saying something about an opposition for the outsider.
Opposition? In what way?
I don't know. You hear things, and something that looked that human and is, alright, obviously very capricious, but certainly has some kinds of designs. Is it possible that he was human once?
Hmm.
And he was clearly pretty young if he was.
Yeah,
Oh.
that doesn't surprise me, rumor-wise.
Anyone who says they really know the outsiders probably making a fool of himself.
I claim to know nothing. All I know is that they're talking about why should the outsider be the only one.
Hmm.
Something with that kind of power, but easier to control.
They're trying to make their own, it sounds like. Wonderful.
It's a possibility. I
Or
only
just maybe
know
they have
what
the
I
right
hear when
master.
I'm doing the rounds. But it
And
does
just hope none of it's weirder than my whale rant.
you know, I almost long for the days of your whale rants after today.
I'm gonna have to get very, very drunk next time.
Oh,
Do you know a
please, not
way?
after the last time. Not after the last time.
Do you know a way into that warehouse?
Well, I suppose that depends on how talented you all are.
Talented enough.
One thing I can tell you is that they've significantly sealed off the cellar.
Hmm.
There used to be more ways into it, which I only know because that used to be more my patch. But I can't get in there now. I would assume there's still a way through because the only reason you'd have for patching up the walls that heavily is if there's something in there worth burrowing in for. So the only way would be ground level. I don't know what the roof is like, but the inside of the warehouse is a little treacherous to get down. I mean, it's a high place, but it's got a high roof, but there's only one walkway and then ground level. There's been some building work. I think they've probably walled off some of the ground level for more in the way of housing, so I imagine that most of the roof is. I can't say it's excess space. Nobody has excess space in Dunwall, but I can imagine it's trapped out the arse if it's cultist weirdos. There's still some moderate window on the ground level, but I mean, if you can sneak or fight your way through, there's probably the roof. If you can sneak or fight your way through, there's probably the windows. You probably have to sneak through for the front door because I don't think you're fighting through that.
Ideally, we're not fighting anyone, and we could get some rope maybe for go from the roof to that walkway, but that is
It's more the getting from the walk.
treacherous.
It's more from the walkway down to the roofed off areas. You'd probably have to break through something.
Hmm.
I mean, unless they've only partially roofed it off.
A window on the ground floor might be the best route then. We can, if there's a couple of them patrolling the outside, that's not an issue, as long as we get them before they can raise an alarm.
Yeah, I'll tell you this much. It doesn't look as much like patrols as it does opportunistic muggers, but they've been a bit thicker on the ground lately.
There's more of them getting attracted by.
No, I think it's actually them earning themselves a little bit extra while they're keeping their patch safe. Who's gonna go near Mugger Central if they don't have to?
Yeah, true. It's a bit like chum in the water.
I think you would be the chum, they would be the sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I built the roof. I have a way through obstacles.
Hmm. I'm leaning more toward the ground floor window.
Hmm. We could distract those muggers away from the windows if we had to.
In
We
any
do.
number of ways.
Yeah.
Well, I could be one of the muggers.
Oh, you could be bait. Maybe. I mean,
That too.
you seem for lethal looking personages, you seem not keen to kill if you don't have to, but would that just be inside? I mean, this is a things happen to muggers, same as they happen to the mugged.
It's a matter of the noise being made.
We can
They
do it
can be made
quietly.
very, very quiet. Very, very quickly, I might add.
That wasn't a. Well, yeah, okay.
Remember?
It was quick, yes. I'm not sure exactly how quiet it was, but yes. Phew, that's a sight. Well done, but that was a sight.
Viola, you could present an opportune target and lead them into a shadowed corner.
Wouldn't be the first time. It doesn't even have to be me.
Exactly. You look like whoever they're most likely to give chase to.
Oh, no, it doesn't have to be me. You forget. I can do other things.
All right.
And I'm just offering Gilbert the drink again.
This time he takes it because finally someone has remembered he's here.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there going like, here, if you need to get going.
I'm mostly staying in case any of these interesting individuals have further questions, or I could just come back. Like,
Nothing else immediately.
Well, and there's no other information about the people themselves.
do I look like a cultist to you?
I wouldn't want Gilbert anywhere near direct confrontation with any of them anyway.
Oh no, that's
No,
fair.
she was just asking if I knew anything else about the specific people, and I scuttle under floorboards. I hear noises. That's it.
Oh, that's fair. My apologies.
I mean, he's had to put up with
Her.
the whale rant, as it were.
Given your own reasonable ale, you're gonna be subjected to the whale rant before you go out this evening. I should probably warn you. I imagine you've already had a sneak preview of it.
I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. When you go through resources that quickly, especially when they're living, breathing creatures.
I mean, to be fair, she's got a point. They should at least leave breed and stock alone.
No, no.
And they're just willy-nilly. I've seen the bloody ships. They're coated in bits.
And to be fair, bits aren't particularly useful when they're smeared all over a vessel.
And then, of course, you were with me the one time we were inside one of the great warehouses of theirs. That was nightmarish.
I'm trying desperately to purge that one from my brain. I'm not succeeding. Yes. Look, I'm gonna ask to check in on you tomorrow or something because I'm glad you're not dead anymore. And you're messing with things that make messing with the economic center of Dunwall look pretty low rent. So I'm going to check in on you.
Thanks.
Incidentally, reaches into his satchel, pulls out a fairly battered manuscript, really, with some blood stains on it, but remember your manuscript? I managed to save it.
There's an actual like squeaky noise. Thought they burned this.
Well, they might have had, I kind of wrangled my way in as an expert. I tried to keep them away from your basement, but they weren't having any of that. And rather than get my own self beat up, I went, but I grabbed that before I went. I also one of your recent prizes. The little, I couldn't save many, but there was one I sort of stuffed in a cushion. Still in the bread. Oh, there you are. Oh, good. They didn't find you.
So you're the reason we have Holly.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Wish I could have done more, but there's only so much you can do without attracting suspicion.
Mm.
Manuscript, your savings, and Holly.
Well, judging from Delphine's reaction, that meant a lot. So thank you. That is very much appreciated. And Holly is wonderful.
Oh, weird as Delphine is, she's my friend.
Yeah, well.
In our profession, you don't have many. You treasure them when you do.
Well, the rats get a bad rap, get a bad reputation simply because of lies and
the fact that they're using them to purge the poor people.
But it's a.
To be fair, you don't know that for sure. So that's more of a wait, what?
Yeah.
Delphine knows, but Jerica and
Jerica's not exactly surprised.
no.
Delphine and Gilbert are the ones who are like dead sure that's what actually is the case. There's
no
confirmation.
Gilbert has confirmation.
Gilbert has actual fucking. Wait, you actually found confirmation of that?
I mean, overhearing straight from a high up's mouth, I would think is pretty solid confirmation.
Oh,
Not that anybody's gonna listen to me know the reason they're treating the plague the way they did and why it spread so nasty is because, well, no, they decided they were going to try and use it to purge the poor people, but they didn't realize or understand that rats go places.
And I need a recording of that.
Unfortunately, that I don't have for you. There may be some documentation, but I'm not crazy enough to get close enough for that. It's enough that I know.
Well, and I mean, I'd heard smatterings and suspected, and I'm not exactly surprised, but having it confirmed is wow. Okay. Oof. Thank you, I think. I'm not really sure what to do with that.
Well, you know, if you're taking nobility down a peg, you might find more than I've got.
Maybe another night.
I'm not saying now. Listen.
Definitely another night.
Listen.
Anyway.
Miss Jerica, not everything that is said has to be now. I'm pretty sure that your daughter qualifies as now, but that doesn't mean I can't talk about later.
I appreciate the thought. It's just.
I know.
I do understand that's a pressing thought of its own, or
I have a funny thing called empathy. I do understand. I know it's rare in Dunwall, but I do have some. I can spare a little bit.
Obliged.
I'm getting Holly, sitting on shoulder, and hugging Gilbert.
There you go. You're all right.
And if Holly wants to say hello,
it's more just gives him a little nuzzle and then curls back up in Delphine's collar just because, that's all she's really got. So
Well.
just nuzzle, nuzzle. Boom.
Yeah, just making sure he was aware of that. Just
It,
little ratty hello. And
yes, it just scritches Holly a little bit and extricates himself from the hug. All right, you've got there's proverbs about impatient woolly women, and I'm not causing one. So I'll check in on you tomorrow dinner time-ish if you're not around. Either, I mean, if you're not around and you're still alive, leave a message with the barman. If you're not around and you're not alive, then I have to go back to actually grieving. I really would prefer not have to do that. It's not fun!
we'll make sure you won't have to.
Good. Pat, pat, swigs down the rest of his drink and out the door.
See you soon. I shut the door behind him.
Yeah, so there's Jerica, this probably mostly stewing over. Wait a minute. Are they actually going to try to make my daughter a new Nope, 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 nope. No, I'm not thinking about that.
So not only does the man look too good for this world, he is too good for this world. I never thought I'd see. Wow.
He is a good catch, Delphine.
Wow.
Drugs,
Out of character. I'm just wow.
grabs the leftover piece of bread.
Hopefully not the one that Holly was
No, not
snoozing
that
in.
one.
Okay, good.
That's still over to the side.
Okay, good. You got a very bewildered looking Delphine, like, what? Wait a minute, what?
And Viola's just like looking at Delphine, looking at the door, looking at Delphine, looking at the door, going, yeah. Yes, he is. Congratulations.
Baffled Delphine is extremely baffled.
Let's face it, Viola's just playing this up because she can see the expression on her face.
Yeah,
Oh, exactly. Oh, completely.
Delphine now looks like has switched animal approximations to that of the cat that got confused when the floor went away.
That's that one with the flower on top of the head and just.
It's like, what is happening? I don't know what's happening. I'm not sure I like it.
Viola's just sipping her ale.
Oh, Holly gives Delphine a little nuzzle in that little hollow behind the ear as if to try to reboot her, and then goes back to her bread roll bed. Nom, 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 nom.
Once this is in our systems, I think we should get moving. And I'm going to twig briefly to check with Fluffy.
Yeah, it's starting to get dark. Ravens, I do not think, have night vision. So you're not seeing a whole lot. You are seeing movement on the streets, but as, the few lamp lighters, there were some lamps, but a lot of them seem to have been vandalized. So it's a whole lot of patches of shadow where on most streets there wouldn't be. And you can just about see movement in some, and the people who are apparently heading to places that are not here are moving very fast. They do not want full dark to catch them here. But there is the warehouse, and not. Hang on, just roll this for Given Fluffy's lack of dark vision, you're not seeing a lot through the upper windows. There are a couple of lights on in a couple of the lower windows because Fluffy's just circling.
Ooh.
So yeah, there's a couple of the windows that are lit up, a couple that might be sort of indirectly lit, but it's more the front and sides of the building. Well, for the front and further along one side than on the other that you're getting light. The front couple of spots are actually fairly dim, so it looks more like candle. The sort of midway down one side is brighter and it looks like firelight. You do see two chimneys, one more or less in the middle, and one out towards that side where the light is brightest. So that's probably a fireplace. There's probably a kitchen somewhere in the middle. And the places with people seem to be sort of up towards the front or out towards the left-hand side as you're walking in.
And I'm just sort of mumbling side and just sort of muttering these locations.
Yeah, you're basically muttering what I just said so that these guys. And given that the orders would have been, come back when it starts getting dark, you do get Fluffy finishing the pass and then.
And as I see Fluffy returning, I'm gonna reboot back into actual.
Yes, here and now.
Well, that is an interesting sort of assortment as to where everything is. Best I could see, anyway. I'm gonna have to turn Fluffy into one of those owls that I've seen sketches of in some of the books. Wait for Fluffy to come back,
Yeah.
and
When Fluffy does return, given that we took a bit of an early break, we'll leave it there for the time being, and when we meet up next week, you can actually um, do your approach and see where you go from there.
Yeah.